Intersectionality, a term coined by Kimberly Crenshaw, was made to deal with the fact that many of our social justice problems like racism and sexism often overlap to create multiple levels of social injustice. Intersectionality, as defined by Lisa Boleg, is a theoretical framework for understanding how multiple social identities such as race, gender, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, and disability intersect at the micro level of individual experience to reflect interlocking systems of privilege and oppression at the macro social structural level. Intersectionality is very important for taking action on social justice issues. An issue that affects Black people and an issue that affects women includes Black people who are women and women who are Black people. Intersectionality helps combine the intersections one may face in life. It helps the government be able to make laws and act on issues that includes all people. For example, a law that protects women in the workplace would need to include Black, white, Asian, Latinx, poor, rich, straight, gay, and so much more if it wanted to protect all women in the workplace. Each woman and, each person has intersectionality, and that is why it is so important for everyone to understand the term. A woman could be turned down for a job because she is simply a woman, but there could also be other factors. She could be young, African American, lesbian. All of those combined could have caused her to be rejected for a job. Without frames that allow us to see how social problems impact all members of a targeted group, many will fall through the cracks of our movements, left to suffer in virtual isolation. Intersectionality is not only a social injustice problem, but a public health problem as well. The National Institutes of Health Policy and Guidelines state that they must include women and minorities in clinical research. The NIH included women and minorities in the same category, implying that these two things do not intersect. The term minority in conjunction with women obscures the existence of multiple intersecting categories as exemplified by, for instance, a low-income Latina lesbian with a physical disability. All factors of a person's life should be considered in a health-related studies. Characteristics such as race or ethnicity, religion, socioeconomic status, gender, age, mental health, disability, sexual orientation, or gender identity, geographic location, or other characteristics historically linked to exclusion or discrimination are known to influence health status. Most public health research studies only study one factor or include one factor, not all. This causes a misunderstanding of health issues for people with multiple intersections that could cause major damage. The need for intersectionality is so important for almost all aspects in life and should be understood by all. Intersectionality needs to be taught more in schools and can be used in many different courses. Geography, for example, could benefit from intersectionality intertwining with the course outline. In history and within geography courses, it is common to see white, colonialist, racist, and masculinist ideas and stories. An area where geographers could usefully employ intersectionality is through work about transnational migration and mobility, in particular, to enrich our understanding of migrants' connections with multiple places and localities. And it could be useful to take intersectionality back to its origins. The practitioners, poets, and activists who started to use ideas about intersectionality before it became written into academic work. When looking at any topic, it is important to note that not everyone agrees. This can be the case with intersectionality, and there has been some criticism towards it. One being that intersectionality is only or largely about Black women or only about race and gender. This idea can cause a representational problem that the original creator of the term, Crenshaw, was trying to get rid of. Intersectionality does not have a subpath and is made for any social category. Some other criticisms are that the theory is identitarian, static, and invested in subjects. Intersectionality reflects a commitment neither to subjects nor to identities, per se, but rather to marking and mapping the production of contingency of both. In other words, the theory of intersectionality is that social categories can pile up and we want to know the different outcomes they can form. Since intersectionality can be so diverse, I wanted to visually show some women with intersections. The first being Joy Harjo. Joy Harjo is a Native American woman born in Oklahoma and is a part of the Muskogee tribe. She's a poet as well as an author and musician. Her poems often set Native American legends and sometimes seedy contemporary landscapes, revealing that it's possible to find gold in the trash of humans. In my drawings, I wanted their intersections to stand out and I wrote them in color, whereas I tried to keep the woman in black and white tones with one or two things colored in. For Joy Harjo's intersectionality, I included being a woman, a poet, Creek, Indigenous, Muskogee Nation, musician, and author. That is not all, but they are the ones I could see from her profile in Norton Anthology. She could be many more, or she could be less. The novel Girl, Woman, Other shows intersectionality very well. It shows many stories of individuals with different social categories like race, sexuality, gender, history, and economic status, and how these ideas intersect. Which brings us to our next drawing, and that is Megan Morgan from Girl, Woman, Other, written by Bernadine Evaristo. Morgan was born in a female body, but later identified as gender-free and uses the pronouns they, them. In the book, Megan was part Ethiopian, part African American, part Malawian, and part English. Morgan also got a full arm sleeve of flame tattoos and shaved their head often. Some quotes that helped me draw Megan, or Morgan, was that Morgan, no longer Megan, has self-identified as gender-free for 6 years now, and their head is still shaven once a week. Their bald pate is made smooth and shiny. The next woman is also from Girl, Woman, Other, and that is Alma. Alma was quite easy to draw in comparison to the others because the author gave many details into what her style was like. These days, she wears silver or gold trainers in winter, fail-safe Berkeys in summer. Winter, it's bright asymmetric shirts, jumpers, jackets, coats. Year-round, her peroxide dreadlocks are trained to stick up like candles on a birthday cake. Silver hoop earrings, chunky African bangles, and pink lipstick. After reading her chapter, I found some of Alma's social categories that might intersect, such as woman, playwright, lesbian, mother, actress, African, and Indo-Guyanese. Letitia is the final woman we will be talking about from Girl, Woman, Other. Sadly, there wasn't much description for Letitia, and she was one of my favorite characters. A direct quote, Letitia is wearing her uniform of navy blue trousers with a crease down the front, navy blue cardigan, fresh white shirt, hair gelled down, and side parted. After reading her chapter, I think some of her intersections are being a woman, a single mother, St. Lucian, a grocery store supervisor, and Caribbean. The last woman I drew was from a short story written by Sandra Cisneros called Women Hollering Creek, featured in the Norton Anthology of Literature by Women. Cleophila's story could be triggering to some as she was a victim of domestic abuse, and I incorporated that into her drawing. There was not a visual description of Cleophila, so I drew her how I would have pictured her. Well, I did that for all of them except Joy Harjo, but anyway, I can only confer how she looked through her intersections. Her intersections include being a woman, Mexican, mother, immigrant, and domestic abuse victim. In conclusion, intersectionality is very diverse and it affects everyone. Kimberly Crenshaw made the term intersectionality, and since then it has changed the world. I want everyone to know what intersectionality is because I find it to be very important. So I hope you enjoyed my project. Goodbye!